March, April, May, June down to December. God, you've been so good. You've been so good. You've been so good. Count my blessings, name them one by one. You've been so good. I will not forget. I will not forget. I will not forget. You've been my lawyer, shelter, helper, provider, healer, helper, God. I will not forget. I will not forget. I will not forget. You are all I need. You are all I want. Mighty God. February, March, April, May, June down to December.
Hello and welcome to Impact Live. My name is Felix Ekordazi, and it's always a pleasure coming your way every day at exactly 6 p.m. on your television screen. Well, today we'll have an impactful time right here on Impact Live. I have with me here a dynamic and amazing man of God, and he will be sharing some things with us concerning the prophetic ministry. And today he's here in Ghana. He's all the way from the US of A, and after this break where he is ministering, we will get to introduce him properly right here on the show. If you're watching this on television, head straight to our YouTube channel. It is IMPACTLIVE, that is Impact Live, and then you add with Felix Dazi. Cheers to an amazing time. If you're watching this on television, you go on YouTube, you subscribe, and then you get to find amazing conversations with great men of God who taking turns to share impactful stuff on ministry with us. My guest for today is Prophet Richard Rowe. We will get to hear from him. He will get to introduce himself, and he has a book on prophecy, and we will get to dissect it, and then we'll have an amazing time right here on Impact Live. Don't go anywhere. After this break, let's have an amazing time. We'll be back.
February, March, April, May, June down to December. God, you've been so good. You've been so good. You've been so good. Count my blessings, name them one by one. You've been so good. I will not forget. I will not forget. I will not forget. You've been my lawyer, shelter, helper, provider, healer, helper, God. I will not forget. I will not forget. I will not forget. You are all I need. You are all I want. Mighty God. January, February, March, April, May, June down to December.
Welcome back, and he is our guest for today, all the way from the USA. He's here in Ghana. Welcome.
God bless you, man. God bless you, God bless you, God bless you.
Anyway, since he's from the USA, I'm in the US right now. How are you doing, please?
I'm doing good, man. God bless you.
All right, good to see you.
Thank you for having me in Ghana.
All right, you're looking amazing.
Thank you. You also too. You're looking very sharp.
Thank you. I'm following you, so I have to. Anyway, let me allow you to introduce yourself to our viewers. And this is your second time on the show.
Yes.
All right, and this is our first one-on-one. Anyway, so let me allow you to introduce yourself, and then we get going.
Okay. My name is Prophet Richard Rowe. God bless you guys for tuning in. My name is Prophet Richard Rowe. I am originally from Jamaica, but I live in the US. I've been in the US all my life, and a very good place. I love the US, but Ghana is my second home.
Ghana is your second home.
From Jamaica to Ghana.
And you are Kofi too?
Yeah.
or what's your Ghanaian name?
I think Kwaku or something like that.
Kwaku or Kofi?
It's Kofi, something like that. That's the name you guys get.
Kofi Rowe.
Yeah.
All right.
So originally, so I love Ghana now. We came here the first time we did charity. We fed over, I think, 500 or 600 people, so it was very amazing. Yeah, but my name is Prophet Rowe.
All right, so let's get into the conversation. You're a prophet of God. I've been following you on Facebook sometimes, and I see the things that you do. You have the word, you have the prophetic. First of all, let me ask you, as a prophet of God, is it a myth or it's the truth that as a prophet you only specialize in prophecy? and not the word or any other thing in relation to ministry, or you're supposed to be all round?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. So that's false. So when you come on to the prophetic, one have to have the word, right? The word of God. Watch this. The Bible says, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God." So when it come on to, if a prophet don't know the word, they will tap into soothsaying, because it is a word that keep us ground. Watch this. A lot of time people always associate the prophetic with speaking, but a prophetic is not always just speaking.
Okay.
Remember, Abraham was a prophet. How do we know that Abraham was a prophet?
Okay.
When Abimelech wanted to sleep with his wife, the Lord said, "Return the man's wife, because he's a prophet. If you don't do so, he's a dead man." But we never saw Abraham actually prophesy.
Okay. Abraham did not prophesy.
No, he never said, "Thus said the Lord."
Okay.
Not at all. But he was a prophet, because the fulfillment of Jesus played out in his life. Remember, when Abraham, the Lord said to him, he said, "Take your only son Isaac and go to the mountain." Isaac wasn't his only son. He had Ishmael first.
Okay.
So when he said go to the mountain, Abraham brought 2 servants. He rode on a donkey and he brought 2 servants. Remember, when God wanted to sacrifice Jesus, the Bible said, "For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son." That's a similarity right there. So when Christ was at the cross, 2 thieves went with him also too.
Okay.
As two men, servant went with Abraham.
Okay.
Right? But watch this. So when Abraham got there to sacrifice his son, the angel told him not to touch him. And the Lord provided a ram in the ticket for him. So watch it. That was a ram. But Christ was a sacrificial lamb. So Abraham's life was prophetic. His whole journey was prophetic.
His life was prophetic.
Very prophetic. Even when you come to Christ, God will allow you to leave some things and to come to him.
Okay.
So Abraham had to leave his hometown, leave his country, leave what he was familiar with, just to follow the Lord.
Okay. What does it mean that your life should be prophetic? You should live a prophetic life. What do you mean by that?
If you realize, when Christ comes, they say, "It is written."
It is written.
There have to be something written about you.
Okay.
So watch this. The Bible said, and God said, "Let there be." There have to be spoken word over your life. So when you say live a prophetic life, it means, what is God saying about you?
Okay.
What is written about you?
Okay.
David said, it is written in the book of the Lamb. In the volume, it's written. So there have to be something written about you.
There has to be something written about you. And how do you locate all these things that are written about you when a man is born? How does he get to locate, find out? How does he get to know that this is what has been written about me? This is the path that I'm supposed to walk in, and walk in it in order to fulfill destiny.
There's many ways.
Okay.
You realize that when every baby that's born, the name that was given to them is prophetic.
The name given to them.
Given them is prophetic.
Oh, so that means names are important.
Very important.
Okay, we'll get
You
there.
realize that there was a man that's called Jabez, and what he was going through was a lot of pain. It was a result of his mother naming him Jabez. Jabez means pain. His life was miserable until he cried out to the Lord. So even your name can be prophetic. Jacob named Benjamin, but his mother named him Ben-Onian. So Jacob had to change it, because it was not biblical for a woman to name the son in the Jewish culture.
Okay.
So even your name is prophetic. So based on what your children is called to do, there should be a name over them. Not only that, you know, when people are born, they have to be blessed. Remember when Jacob was leaving his tribe, he blessed them. He said, "Come, gather you sons of Jacob, and I will tell you what will befall you in the future." He gave them a prophecy, and he tell them all about themselves. So you have to be careful who bless you. What name was released over you?
Rewind and press play. You have to be careful who blesses you or who speaks over your life.
Who speaks over your life? You have to be very careful. So when a baby is dedicated, a dedication is not something we do as a celebration. A dedication is supposed to be done by preachers, prophetic people that can speak over people's life.
Okay.
Yeah. Even Jesus himself, when he came, everything that was written up, it was written about him. Even the gift he received as a child.
He received gold, frankincense.
Frankincense. Normal baby, what do we receive?
Pampers.
Pampers and stuff like that. But everything about it was
and all that. Okay.
Yeah, the gold symbolizes kingship, and we
Okay.
can go. So everything about life have to be prophetic. Even when they born, they said the wise man located the star. The wise men weren't Christian.
Okay.
They were astrologers. They were spiritual people, but they located because they saw a star, and they said, "This is the star of a king." Because something was written about him.
What is the difference between the prophetic ministry and the prophetic office? You have a book on prophecy versus discernment. We will enter there, but first of all, the prophetic ministry, the prophetic office, prophecy, the prophet. What are the differences and what are the definitions of these? Because normally we confuse these things with the prophetic ministry and someone giving a prophecy, someone being a prophet, and then the prophetic ministry or office itself.
So there's a difference between the prophetic gift, a prophetic grace, and an office.
Okay. There's a prophetic grace too.
Yes.
Okay.
Gift can be transferred. The Bible said a good man leave inheritance for his children. That can be transferred. And the Bible said this. Paul said to Timothy, he said, stir up the gift of faith. That was in your grandmother and your mother. I mean, the gift of faith was in the family and it was transferred. So the prophetic. So prophetic can be a gift and it can be a grace. Do you realize that when Saul was chasing David, even though he was rejected as a king, when he got among the prophet, he prophesied because the grace was in the atmosphere. Until they said, is Saul among the prophet? He wasn't a prophet, but he got into the atmosphere of the prophet. So there's a big difference between the gift, the grace, and the office. When you're in the office, you have the mind of God. God revealed the secret to you. The Bible said in the book of Amos, show the Lord that God does nothing unless he reveal the secret to the servant, the prophet. The Bible said in the book of Numbers, there's a prophet among you. I speak to him in vision and dream. But not so with my servant Moses. I speak to him face to face. So when you're in the office, you have the secret. You have access to the mind of God.
When you're in the office, you have the secret. Okay, but the grace is the company that you keep.
It comes upon you every now and then. Which means you don't have the ability to do what the prophet do. You realize that when there was false prophet in the Bible, when the kings gathered the prophets to prophesy, they sent for a man that's called Micaiah. What the other prophet pulled, they pulled from the atmosphere. Micaiah came, and Micaiah came, they said, Micaiah, tell us the truth. And he said, I will tell you the truth. Micaiah went to heaven, he said, I saw a spirit come before the Lord. And so who's going to entice them? And he said, send me, Lord. So Micaiah had the ability to see what was orchestrated in heaven. But the other prophets did not.
They didn't have that ability.
They didn't have it. So a prophet that walk in the office, you have the mind of God and the heart of God.
You have the mind of God
and the heart of God.
What makes someone a prophet? I know you've done, but what makes someone a prophet for you to know that this is a prophet, not someone carrying the prophetic grace? And what is the difference between the prophet and the seer?
So what makes somebody a prophet is this. One, you have to be chosen from birth. Jeremiah.
Chosen from birth.
Yeah, before. And then prophecy the prophetic office can come upon you as a result of serving. Realize this. When you come out to Amos said, I wasn't a prophet, not the son of a prophet. I was a servant, but God called him. It simply means there was a spot needed to fill in Israel, and God called him. If God called you, it simply means you weren't there. If I say come here, you're not here yet. So God called him to fulfill a mandate that needed to be fulfilled, right? So one, you have to be born a prophet. And two, if somebody have a mandate and they're not handling it well, God can shift it. Why do you think when Judas died, they said, let another take his office? He was an apostle, but he died. They needed 12. To let another take his office, it simply means they were never in the office, but somebody took it. So God can orchestrate, God can turn your life around and shift it into something that you never called to. He can shift it.
He can shift.
He shifted it.
You are not called into it, but God can.
He shifted it according to your do you know there's many intercessors that God actually built to be prophets? Because there's a mandate. When you receive a mantle, the mantle give you a mandate. Yes. So the difference between a seer and a prophet is, back in the days, biblically, those who see with their eyes, they call them seer. Vision, dreams, trances, those are seer. Nabi, they call them Nabi. Nabi are people who hear from God.
They hear from God.
So how you hear the difference is, somebody says, I see. I see. But a prophet, the Lord is saying. They're very close to the heart of God. Nathan was. Nathan was very close. So Nathan was a man who would tell riddles. So when you're a seer, you see through your eyes, vision, dreams, and you hear, I see this, I was taken to this place, I'm seeing this. I hear the Lord saying that's not
the Lord just opened my eyes.
That's it. I hear the Lord said, I hear. So that's how you know the difference. But that was biblical in the Old Testament. But in the new days, we just term it in and call everybody prophet. But the difference is between your administration, how you flow.
All right. So, man of God, did you know this was what you were going to do all your life? As a man of God, you were going to be a prophet of God.
I didn't actually have the full idea, but God have a way of revealing himself. So when it come on to my family, it been in my family. My grandma was a lot of prophets are in my family. Very sharp prophet, but I had no idea my life was going to come out to that. But I began to see dreams and visions. And one time I was driving, and I was a sinner, and I was driving my car at age 19, and the car lost control. It was heading for a tree. It was heading right for a tree. I had three of my friends in the car, and I lost control. All of a sudden, an angel appeared, big angel, and stood like this. The car stopped.
An angel just appeared.
Right like that. And my friend said, oh, you can drive. I knew it wasn't me. That night, I knew I was going to lose my life. But when I got home, my mom said, I saw there was an accident, and I prayed against it. So So I didn't actually know what was happening.
Okay.
But I knew there was something about my life, but I didn't have the full idea.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You knew there was something about your
Yes.
life, but you didn't have the full idea.
Didn't have the full idea.
Oh, that's great to
Yes,
know.
didn't
All
have
right.
the full idea.
Let's talk about it. You having the idea about it. At what point did the call happen? And when you had the call, when you received the call, what were some of the things that you did in other to develop the calling?
I'm happy to say receiving the call, because many are called but few are chosen.
Okay.
And many are called but many does not accept the calling, because it's something you have to accept, because you have a free will.
Okay.
So when I realized that I saw a man of God, he began to minister prophetically, and he went down into my life. This is the first time I'm seeing this man. He prophesied everything to me. And I said, this man is very deep. He's powerful. I was in Jamaica. And I said to the Lord, I said, if you give me half of the gift that man have, I will serve you.
You saw the man ministry?
Yes. And I just asked the Lord, just half.
What did you see?
I saw the man. He laying hands on people. In fact, my grandma was in the service.
Okay.
And she had this issue. It's an ongoing issue. She had to go to the doctor every year to cut the lump off her back. That man laying hands on her. That issue never came back again. Disappeared.
Wow.
Never came back. And I said, this man is powerful. He lay hands. Sharp. People are falling over. That man of God is so powerful. I'm telling you, he's one of the most feared men in Jamaica. One of the most feared men in the region of Mandeville. I've seen that man took off his jacket and throw. People fall over like that.
Just like that?
Just like very deep. The man is powerful. So I asked the Lord, I said, I want what that man have. Just half, not even all of it. And I will serve you. Years go by, I went to Jamaica and I saw that same man. He came when I saw him in the service. The man said to me, "You're not going to receive half of what I have, but double."
Wow!
Remember,
just like that.
What I asked the Lord for was in my heart. Nobody knew it.
Nobody. You didn't discuss it with anybody and all that.
I did the whispering. Nothing. Nobody knew it. And the man said, "You're going to receive double." The man said, "Come here." And the man told him to lay hands on somebody. When I laid my hands, the person fell over. I said, "Wow!" From that day, I was convinced. But the Lord began to put mentor in my life. Because watch this, a prophet without a mentor or apostle. Because every prophet needs an apostle. Apostle groom.
Rewind and press play on that. You said a prophet
Need an apostle.
to mentor.
To mentor them.
Okay.
Every prophet needs an apostle. That's why it's called the fivefold ministry. A prophet without an apostle is a danger waiting for something to happen. You need somebody that's going to groom it. Even the Bible, even the prophet have to be submissive to the king.
Okay.
Why do you think Nathan rebuked David? David himself was a king, but he was a prophet, but he rebuked him as a king. Right? Okay. And even the king had to be careful what they said. So every prophet needed a king. So even the prophet, though they were flowing, they had to be careful.
They had to be careful.
Have to be careful. Unless the king was moving unrighteous. They had to be very careful what they said to the king. So every prophet needed an apostle. So I began to train. It was this man of God. I never met him in my life. Apostle Baxter. I never met. The man can prophesy. This is the first man I see pray for people over the phone and they got up off their walker. Get up like that. The man is very, very deep. The man can read out. You travel to this country and tell you everything written on your plane ticket. I've never seen a man like that when I was
everything on your plane ticket.
The man is very deep. The man is too deep. The man, and I said, who's this man? And for some reason, I found favor in his sight. Found favor. And the man began to train me. Actually, my cousin introduced me to him. He met my cousin on the bus. And he told my cousin, he said, hey, you're going through this and going through this, and a man is going to bless you with a car. My cousin didn't have a license. And I think about 1 week later, his boss gave him a car.
Just like that?
Just like that. So he said, wow. So he introduced me to the man, and I was coming into Christianity. The man began to tell me about the prophetic. I was training for 4 years, 5 years behind the scene, on the phone line. And the man built my confidence. He used to always tell me, believe in yourself. He said, just believe in yourself. The Lord's going to use you mightily. What he was saying, it wasn't what I was seeing. Because I didn't have the confidence.
Okay.
But then the Lord began to groom me. And then from there, slowly building my confidence. It's to the point where I used to love prophesying over the phone that if you put me in front of a congregation, I can't prophesy. I can't prophesy because I don't know to look at your face. Even if I hear the Lord and you look like I'm telling the Lord, I will stop the prophecy.
Okay.
Because I was trained on the phone line. So at the moment you come on the phone and I hear your voice, I can tell you everything going on in your life. The Lord just give me access just like that.
Right.
I was a phone line prophet.
All right.
After the Lord transitioned me and I got the confidence.
You got the confidence to do that. What is that one secret that you learned about? Because I've seen you prophesy before. Two things.
The prophetic. You have to be very prayerful.
You have to be very prayerful.
Very prayerful, and you need the word.
Is it in the hours or in the words that you used, or when you talk about prayerful?
It's time sensitive because there's 24 elders in heaven, and each elders represent one of the hours.
Oh,
So it all depends.
okay.
Right? I believe the best time for prayer is when you're led. When the Lord tell you this is your prayer. There's some time you can't sleep because God wants you to pray. So it's when you're on assignment, when the Lord lead you, because watch this, sometimes the prophetic switch, the prayer time switch. The Lord will tell you to switch because the enemy is monitoring you. So you have to change. So it cannot be one stubborn schedule. You have to be sensitive to the Spirit.
Okay.
So watch it. If you pray 12 hours, right? 12 hours against the grid. It's versus you praying 1 hour when the Lord leads you to pray. That 1 hour can be effective more than 12 hours.
That 1 hour can be effective.
Very effective.
Wow.
Because you're led by the Spirit.
You're led by
so you have to be very prayerful. Watch this. The gift is for the people. But a prophet needs to maintain his relationship with God.
Okay.
So if you're not prayerful, you only discern, but you're not hearing what God is saying. Because the prophetic, you need to hear what God is saying. And you have to know the word. The word will keep you rooted and grounded.
Okay.
The man that I was telling you about that mentored me, a sad story. Even though he mentored me, he wasn't a man of the word. He wasn't. He only studied to preach.
He studied to preach.
Only studied to preach. And that's a mistake a lot of preachers make. They study to preach. And that man, his end is not good. He didn't end up good.
Oh.
I won't get into all of that. But though he can see, that's why you need the word.
You need the word.
You need the word. So you have to be very prayerful. You have to have an intimate relationship with Christ. Just don't only pray when you get ready to preach. Just don't only study to preach to the people. The word is for you also too.
Okay.
So that's two secrets. Study and preach. And pray in tongues. It's very important to build up your spirit. Very, very important.
Pray in tongues.
The Bible says when you pray in tongues, you speak mysteries unto men. You might not understand the mysteries, but I tell you, when you grab the mic, things are different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let's talk about your book, Prophecy and Discernment. First of all, what actually stirred you up for this, and what's the difference between prophecy and discernment?
What stirred me up about the prophetic and discernment? I've been around prophet. I have the ability to train prophet by the grace of God, and I trained very, very good prophet and very sharp prophet. So what stirred me up is I used to see prophet prophesy the outcome, and everybody have different. So example, one time I was traveling to Jamaica, and this said the prophet said, God said, don't go to Jamaica. This said the prophet said, God said to go to Jamaica. I knew the prophets. They weren't fake prophets. Not at all. They weren't fake.
They were deep prophets.
They were good prophets. I know their character. I know them. But they had different things to say. So I knew it was an issue. It wasn't an issue with God. Because one God can be saying two different. He's not contradicting himself. No, he's not. The Bible says he's not the author of confusion. So I know it had to be with the vessel. So I began to pray. The Lord appeared to me. I saw Jesus. I was caught up. And I saw feet walking to me. He said, go to Jamaica. I will protect you.
God said, go to Jamaica.
I will protect you. So one prophet was saying, if you go, this and this will happen, negativity. And the other prophet was saying, go. So then I said, something is not right. And then the Lord began to minister to me, prophecy versus discernment. And when I checked the book of Acts, I saw something very intriguing in the book of Acts. Do you know what I found in the book of Acts? Agabus the prophet told Paul, said, don't go to Jerusalem. He said, the man that owns this belt, you're going to be bound. Do not go. He pleaded with him. And Paul said, if I have to die, I have to die. Then the same prophet Agabus came and said, let the will of the Lord be done. Remember, it was the will of the Lord for Paul to go to Jerusalem because the prophecy that Ananias gave him, he said, God gave Ananias about Paul. He said, this man shall be taken to queens and kings. He shall be taken to kings. But there was a king for him to meet. So Agabus discerned the danger.
He discerned what was ahead.
Happen.
Okay.
But there was a prophecy of a Paul life. So so there's a clash between prophecy and discernment. You can discern danger, but not every danger is detrimental.
Okay. Interesting. So discernment and prophecy. Okay. So what is discernment actually? Because we've defined
discernment is having the ability to judge between right and wrong. Let me tell you. When Solomon was asking, he said, God, he said, your people are so great. Give me a wise and discerning heart to judge your people. All of a sudden, God gave it to him. Then a situation came up. 2 prostitutes. They had a baby. And one baby died in the night. And the other one swapped the baby. So they brought it before the king. The king said, give me a sword that I may cut the baby. The woman who the baby belonged to said, no, don't kill the baby. Give it to the other lady. But the lady that the baby didn't belong to said, kill the baby. And Solomon said, no. the baby belonged to the one who had mercy. So discernment is having the ability to judge between right and wrong, between good and God. That's discernment.
That's discernment.
Yes, having the ability. But hear this. Like I said, not every danger is detrimental. The Bible said this. Yea, though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, because you're with me. A lot of people can discern the valley of death. But if they take you out of it by discernment, they will rob you of your process. Because sometimes the shadow of death is not always to kill you.
Okay.
It's to develop you. The Bible says you shall fear no evil. What if the shadow of death is to remove evil from you, remove fear of you? So people who are discerner but are not intercessors, they have the ability to rob people of their process.
They have the ability to rob people of their process.
Of their process.
All right. Now, thus saith the Lord. In your book, you spoke about confusion in thus saith the Lord, and this is the book, Prophecy versus Discernment, and you spoke about thus saith the Lord. The confusion in it. Is there confusion? What is the confusion?
Yeah, it's a lot of confusion because something happened the other day in the Nigerian election where everybody was prophesying this, that person not going to win. And, it was a lot of prophet coming. But sometimes when they come on to the prophetic, people can misinterpret.
Okay.
All right, watch this. Peter. Peter was up on the ladders. He was very hungry. And the Bible said, guys, something opened. He saw letters coming down, animal ascending and descending. The Lord said, rise, Peter, kill and eat. He said, no, Lord, I've never eaten nothing unclean. The Lord said it again. He said, no. The Lord wasn't talking about animals. He was talking about the Gentiles. But he misinterpreted what the Lord was saying.
Okay.
The Lord was sending to the Gentiles who they classify as unclean. But because he was hungry, the revelation he got from his stomach is God was telling him to kill animal and eat it. So you can misinterpret the prophetic. The Bible said this. When Isaiah went to Ezekiel, he said, the Lord said he will reverse the thing. He said, give me a sign. He said, so Ezekiel said, let the clock go backwards. No, that's not the one. That's a different one. I'm gonna get back to that. When the king of Babylon came to visit Isaiah, they said to him, Ezekiel, Isaiah said to him, he said, where are these men? He told them, he said, okay, these men you should be in captivity to these men. But Ezekiel thought he made peace in his time. He thought something good. So prophecy can be misinterpreted.
Prophecy can be misinterpreted.
Misinterpreted. So that's where the confusion comes from. It's not God, it's the vessel who don't have understanding. Every prophet needs to have knowledge. The Bible said this. He said, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And some scripture said, because you refuse knowledge, I refuse to become my priest and my prophet. So you can be rejected because of lack of knowledge. You need to know it. Daniel said that people who know their God shall do great and mighty exploit. You have to know something.
You have to know something.
Yeah. So prophecy can be misinterpreted.
Okay.
So that's the confusion. In the Bible, in the Old Testament, what was considered as a false prophet is kind of different in the New Testament.
Okay.
A false prophet in the Old Testament was a false messenger, according to Deuteronomy. Okay. If you're saying thus said the Lord and the Lord never sent you, you're false.
Okay.
If you say if the Lord never sent you, he never sent you. But in the New Testament, you have to do with your character. And so that's in the Old Testament, prophets were so feared, prophets were so revered in the Old Testament. Because they took the word so serious in the Old Testament. They wouldn't have go if God never sent them in the Old Testament. But today the standard have decreased because people are not training. People like the prophetic lifestyle, but they like the prophetic administration. They like what comes with it, but they don't like the process of being a prophet.
The process of being a prophet.
Every prophet have to be processed.
Okay.
When it comes out to prophet is synonymous to broken. You have to be broken as a prophet.
Broken as a prophet.
That's why God is close. A prophet go through various seasons. You're broken. God will test you. First of all, as a prophet, not even as a servant of God, as a prophet, you have to be delivered from the lust of money.
Okay.
If you're not delivered from the lust of money, you can give up your inheritance. Do you remember that guy that used to follow Elijah? And when the man said, he said, I will not take none from a man, he went behind it and collected it. And because of that, the man became a leopard. You have to be delivered from the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, all that stuff, the pride of life. God have to deliver you from that thing. You have to be dead to your flesh, dead to woman. So prophet go to various type of, prophet would be in the cave. Do you know this? Elijah was up on the mountain praying. Do you know that John the Baptist, he was set aside? These prophets these days, they love to be seen.
The prophets loved to be seen.
Love to be seen. They love to be seen. But the prophetic ministry is a lonely ministry. God have graced some to be out there, but not everybody was meant to be out there.
Not everyone
Not
was
everybody.
meant to be out there.
No, not
Wow.
everybody. Elisha, they couldn't even catch him. He used to be disappeared, but Elisha was for the people.
Okay.
John the Baptist was set aside, but Jesus was for the people. So you have to know what God have called you to in the prophetic. What is your office? There's some prophet that you will never see them on TV. That's not their calling. God never called them to be on TV. But they're very impactful. They're doing crusade. They're winning souls by the thousand. They're healing the sick, left, right, center. But they know that that's not their calling. So you have to know. So there's very process and God develop you based on where He's sending you to.
God develops you based on where He's sending you to.
Yeah.
Okay. When you talk about impactful, what does it mean to be impactful?
Impactful is that, watch this, we have to understand as servant, as prophet, he who mark your scoreboard is in heaven. Angel take your scoreboard. Watch this. I was praying one time, the Lord showed me that. That's not a scripture, I just made it up. The Lord showed me this. There's a woman that's she making a lot of wave. A lot of wave. She's winning soul. She doing a lot of things. And I was praying, I was in England at the time. And the Lord said to me, said, son, let me show you about this lady. When I went to heaven, she wasn't doing nothing. The Lord said, I don't know this lady.
Huh? It was as if she was working.
This lady preached more than me. She preached. She preached. And it's not the fact that she's a lady, but because you have to be sent. There have to be an agenda. So we're not talking about being impactful. Impactful means that God have given you the assignment, because it's a difference between being busy and being progressive.
There's a difference between being busy
and being progressive.
Progressive.
Very, very different.
I think on Saturday I heard you talk about movement is different from progress.
Very, very different. Do you know this? You have some people who preach probably 10 times a year, but God ordained them to preach. They will go from this nation to this nation and they will preach. And you have people who have preached probably 50 times. And when you check heaven, what they're doing is not recording. And a man will say, why does this man preach 10 times and this man preach 50? He's doing good in the sight of man, but in heaven is a different thing.
How does heaven measure things?
Heaven is different.
On impact.
But I was telling a friend, I don't know who I was telling. I remember me and my prophet friend, I was in Jamaica. And we left the service. There was a Ghanaian prophet. I love him so much, Prophet Rich. And there's a Ghanaian prophet. He came and it was his birthday. And we left the service early to attend to him. We left the service early. After his birthday finished, we take him out to lunch and everything, food. When I got home and I was laying in the bed, the Lord appeared to me. He says 6 out of 10. I said, what do you mean? The Lord said, you have not finished the assignment. He said, there's people that are sent from different parishes to come and get healing. You didn't finish. You cut my assignment short. The Lord said that. I was shocked.
When God said that, you were shocked.
I was shocked. That I didn't know the Lord was grading me. He said, don't you ever do it again. I send people, because watch, if God send people to a church and said, go to that church, and you cut the time what God, you cut off what God is doing, and the person does not receive what they're supposed to receive, they will second guess God. Maybe God never sent me. They said, maybe I didn't hear God. But God genuinely, but a man intervened. A man didn't obey. So I realized, and then there's a prophet again. I was in a congregation. The man was prophesying. The man was deep. The way the man prophesied, I was in school. I'm like, oh my God.
He's deep, yeah?
He was deep. Very deep. And when I went home, I said, oh my God. I said, God, that man is deep. I saw the Lord crying. I said, God, why are you crying? Do you see what the man did today? The Lord said, my people never needed prophecy. They needed deliverance. So people went over there with word of their life, but they weren't delivered. They weren't healed. So when it come out to the agenda of heaven, you have to know what you're doing. I will go in the congregation sometime and I never prophesy deep. Because that's not what the Lord wants. Demon will be cast out. The sick will be healed, because it all depends on the demand of the congregation. That's what the Lord sent you to do. So heaven, you have to be flexible as a servant of God.
Heaven, you have to be flexible.
You have to be flexible. Very. One time the Lord will use you mightily in healing, casting out the deep. All depends on what He wants. So if you're stuck in one flow of operation, you will miss what heaven is doing. And if people are there that need to be healed heavily, and you're showing up the prophetic gift, you missed it. You missed it.
Interesting.
And if you missed it, heaven can't promote you. Why would God put you in front of more people to make a fool out of yourself? You have to be impactful in the kingdom. Very impactful in the kingdom.
You have to be impactful.
Very impactful in the kingdom.
Very impactful in the kingdom.
You have to know what the Lord is saying. That's why. Do you know this? This is a problem that I have. I have access to a lot of prophets, and I know this. They can hear God for people, but not God for themselves.
They can hear God for people,
but not God for themselves. Okay. Because they pray to prophesy and preach. but don't pray to keep a relationship with God.
Okay.
So when it come on to time for administration, they're praying. But after that, if they're not preaching, they're not praying.
Okay.
And you have to have a personal relationship with Christ. You have to. Regardless you preaching or not, you have to know him for yourself.
You have to know. You have to know him for yourself. Okay.
Have to know him for yourself. You realize that God was Moses' prophet and Aaron was Moses' prophet. God was Moses. Moses sent him. So when God want to speak to Aaron, he speak to Moses.
If God wants to speak to
Aaron, he speaks to Moses.
Okay.
So Moses know God for himself, but Aaron know God through Moses.
Okay.
So it's not everybody could. So a lot of prophets can't hear God for themselves.
They can't hear God.
They can't hear God for themselves. So when Moses was seeking the Lord, Aaron was building a golden calf because he thought the Lord forsake them. He was quick to do it. It's not this is the same Aaron that went with Moses to the Egyptian. He saw the miracles, but he knew the works of God, but don't know the acts of God, but don't know the ways of God.
Interesting. What are the 7 sources of prophecy? You spoke about them here. This book can be found on Amazon. And it's a bestseller.
Yes. Within 24 hours, it went #1 new release on Amazon.
Wow.
It impacted England, impacted Canada, impacted Jamaica, impacted the United States. In fact, we're translating the book as we speak now into the Pakistani language. I don't even know the language.
Wow, Pakistani language.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It's been translated now as we speak.
That's great.
Yes.
That's great.
So the sources of prophecy, prophecies come from the many different sources. A lady one time came and prophesied to me. She was very on point, but she told me something contradicted the Lord said. The Lord told me to fast. She said not to fast. I said, okay. And I disobeyed the Lord because of her. The Lord told me something I'll never forget. He said, "It's not everything that sounds authentic. Not everything that sounds accurate is authentic."
Not everything that's accurate is authentic.
No, not everything. Because soothsayers do that. They will mix the truth with a lie. So they give you accuracy to catch your attention, then they deceive you. So prophecy can come from different realms. All different realms. There's a realm that prophecy comes from that people don't understand. It's a realm of concern. Samson's mother told him, so why? He said, do not marry that girl. Don't marry that girl. Find somebody among us and marry it. But the Bible said this, they did not know it was the will of the Lord to afflict vengeance on the Philistine. So people can prophesy a prophecy to you because they're concerned. It comes from the emotions. Prophecy can come from the soulless realm. It can come from the realm of heaven, and you can pull from the atmosphere.
Wow. Wow.
There's a lot of different sources of the prophecy.
Okay.
You have divination, a lot of things. Divination is, watch it. There's a man that's called prophet. His name was called Balaam. He was a true prophet, but his intention wasn't pure. In the book of Joshua, they call him a soothsayer. So this man had the calling of a true prophet, but because the king came to bribe him with money, it's something between prophet and money. They don't understand it. So the king came to bribe him. He heard the Lord. The Lord said, where are these men that come? Send them back. He told the man, he sent them back. They sent more mightier men. He said, stay here. I will hear what the Lord is saying. It's something about a prophet who want to change the mind of God. Not because God allowed it does not mean he accepted. And this man went. All of a sudden, the angel stood in front of the donkey, and the donkey began to speak to him. And the Lord said, okay, go. Remember, the Lord sent him. He was provoking the Lord sent him. But yet still, while he was on the pad, the angel appeared to kill him.
Wow.
Then the Lord said to him that, go, but only speak what I say. Nevertheless, he went and he only spoke what the Lord said. He couldn't curse the children of Israel. Nevertheless, he still corrupted their ways. He caused them to fall into sexual, destroy them. He couldn't curse them, but he had to cause them to corrupt their ways. And the Bible says he corrupted his way because of money. So prophecy, people can prophesy. The Bible said there was a slave girl in the book of Acts chapter 16, verse 16. And she gained her own much gain by fortune telling. And when she saw Paul and Silas, she said, these men are servants of the Most High God. She was accurate. And they were in fact. But it was for money. And the Bible said Paul got annoyed after many days. His discernment kicked in and he cast it out. He said, get out. So if Paul had the itchy ears, he would have, because it was the right time for the prophets to Paul, because they were being prosecuted. They needed confirmation. And here she came with the confirmation.
Wow.
But Paul realized that it wasn't something pure.
It wasn't something
he said, come out. And that spirit came out the same hour, the Bible said.
You spoke about when the gift clashes. Does the gift clash?
Yeah.
Talk about it.
So,
Let's talk about it.
In the book of Corinthians, the gift can clash for a lot of things. When the vessel is immature,
When the vessel is immature. Okay.
When the vessel does not have a lot of understanding. So in the book of Corinthians, the gift of tongues and prophecy were clashing very much. So Paul had to write a letter to them. And Paul said, do not forbid to speak in tongues. He said, don't forbid to speak in tongues. Don't do that. Because someone is speaking in so many tongues, they didn't understand. The Paul said, no. But he said, he who speaks in tongues, speaking mystery to man. He said, when somebody come into the congregation and they speak in tongues, it says not to convince unbeliever. It's for believers. But when prophecy come, what prophets do, it convict the heart of believers that even their secret shall be revealed and they shall bow down. So they were having a clash in the book in the Corinthians. So what Paul introduces the interpretation of tongues. He said, okay, watch it. He who speaks in tongues, he said, who was speaking prophecy is greater than he who speaks in tongues, unless he interpret. So he forced him to put the gift in a category. He said, okay, when you interpret the tongues, then the gift are equal. So he introduced the gift of interpretation. Paul did that. Because when you interpret tongues, the tongues of man, it can lead to prophecy. So Paul is saying, don't throw away the gift of tongues, and don't tell people to stop prophesying. In fact, he said, let 2 or 3 prophets prophesy, let the other judge. Because there was an argument, the gift were clashing. The one who was speaking tongues was bo, shaba shaba. You know, the one who prophesied was just prophesying. So there was a split in the church.
In the church, okay.
Because so when it comes on to prophecy versus discernment, the solution is intercession. Because when somebody discerns something, if you don't show what you're discerning, intercede. That's what bridges the gap.
Okay.
That's how Paul introduced the gift of the interpretation of tongues. Intercession. Okay. So when you discern something, you don't have the understanding. Intercede for it.
Okay. If you don't understand something, intercede.
Intercede for it, and God will give you the interpretation of it. So that's what caused the gift not to clash. Intercession.
Okay. Intercession.
Intercession.
Okay.
Because somebody will discern something. I'm discerning. They will pick something, but have no idea. I was with a prophet one time, and we were driving to some place, and the prophet said this. He said, I feel like going home. I don't think the Lord wants me to go to that place. I said, you sure, prophet? He said, yeah. I said, give me a second, prophet. I was driving, nothing. I said, prophet, give me the phone. Call your wife. Something's going to happen to your daughter. I said, I pray for his daughter. His daughter began to burp. I said, how are you feeling now, prophet? He said he feel good. It wasn't that the Lord didn't want him to go to that place. He was discerning danger. But because we're going to that place, he assumed.
Okay.
So I said, no, prophet, give me a second. So I said, no, something. But I had a deeper discernment, so I discerned. And then I fixed the problem. I said, so prophecy, when it comes down to prophecy and discernment, people can assume.
People can assume, okay.
A lot of assumption come in the prophetic.
Okay.
Especially when it comes out to marriage. People assume every time. Not because you get a prophecy that somebody is your husband does not mean. And it's a lot of things about the prophetic, but I get this. Not because.
No, I love where you are going to. Very, very important.
Yes.
Yeah, the fact that God tells you this is your husband doesn't mean, or your wife doesn't mean.
Yeah, it does not mean this is the time. I did not know the fact that God tell you that you're going to get married does not mean the next man that walks through the door is your husband. Assumption killed the prophetic.
Assumption kills the prophetic.
Assumption kills it. People assume every time in the prophetic. Even prophets who prophesy, they assume. If one time I was prophesying to a guy, I saw his belly. His stomach was big in the realm. I saw a baby. And I said, God, how can somebody be pregnant and he's a guy? The Lord said, that's not what it meant. He's pregnant with a purpose. I said, oh. So if I'd assume something, I probably would have told the guy, I see that you have gotten somebody pregnant. And it wasn't that, but I stopped. And that's why it's very important to have an intimate relationship with Christ. Because when you see with the gift, you have to check heaven. You have to access the heart of God and the heart and the mind of Christ to see what the God is saying about the interpretation.
All right. Wow, amazing. What would you tell people who want to function in the prophetic, who will not see you anywhere, but they admire the prophetic grace on your life? What would you tell them about the prophetic?
Two things. A lot of things I would tell you. When you have a calling upon your life, don't corrupt your priesthood.
Don't corrupt your priesthood.
Don't corrupt your priesthood. Wait for your time. Time is very important. The Bible said the sons of Issachar, they knew time and they knew season. So as a prophet, be developed. It's not as important to be out there as it's important to be trained. You have to be trained. Somebody. You know, when you read the book of Matthew, they said the genealogy of Christ, he came from this, he came from. You have to have a root. I believe people need spiritual father and spiritual mothers. Not only father, but mothers. It's very important. Because there's certain things you can get from a woman you can't get from a man. Spiritually. You know my spiritual mother? She's so concerned about me in different ways. Very concerned. She would call and pray for me. When I'm going, anywhere I'm going, she would call and pray for me. My spiritual father, I know his ability in my life. He has authority. If something is bigger than me, I call him. He prayed. That thing have to be broken. But there's different abilities. So you need to be groomed. You have to come from somewhere. It's very important where you come from in the prophetic. Who groomed you? Who raised you? So that's very important. Be raised properly and wait on your time and your season.
Be raised properly and wait for your time and your season.
Because the price of discipline is far greater than the price of regret. Because it's not good to just raise up and fall like that. You have to have discipline and be true to Christ. Make sure your motive is pure. Make sure whatever you're doing is unto the glory of God. You have to. That's the only guardrail we have. It's not good to start good and to end up bad. Stay in the parameter of Christ when you come on to the So raise right. Forget about all this premature stuff. Don't be too quick to be in camera. Forget about all that stuff. Raise right. Just be raised right. Have somebody over you. And watch people. Be inspired and pray. Have a strong prayer life. And everything will work out.
Will work out, all right. And what do you have to tell people concerning this book, Prophecy versus Discernment?
This is a book that I wish I had when I was up and coming in the prophetic that nobody told me. And this book have a lot of details, have a lot of meat in it. So because I had nobody to really tell me, I have people who teach me about the prophetic. They knew the administration, but the word to go with it, they didn't have it. Right? Okay. So this book, I wrote it for people who were once where I was when I wrote this book.
Okay.
You know, who were confused in the prophetic. Sometimes people get prophecy and say, oh, God said this and God is saying that. How does it not come to pass? Prophecy is a funny thing. It can be intercepted.
It can be intercepted.
Prophecy can be intercepted. It can be intercepted demonically and it can be intercepted by the will of man. The Bible said Elijah the second one, he told him, he said, go up. The Lord will cause you to prevail against Moab in the book of Kings. When he told him that, the Bible said when the king of Moab saw that Israel were prevailing, he took his child that was next to be a king and sacrificed him, and the battle turned against Israel. So even the great prophet words overturned.
Okay.
So that was intercepted because of an evil sacrifice. Again, Isaiah said to Hezekiah, thus said the Lord, set your house in order. You shall surely die.
You will surely die. This
is a man that his prophecy don't miss. In fact, I think he saw the coming of Christ 500 years. This man is very sharp. But Hezekiah did not negotiate with the prophet. He turned his face to the wall. He shut down and intercepted. He interceded. And by the time the prophet left, the Lord said, go back and tell him I had 50 more years to. So prophecy can be intercepted.
Prophecy can be intercepted.
It can be intercepted.
Okay.
Prophecy can be intercepted.
All right. Thank you so much.
God bless you.
How does people find Prophet Richard Rowe?
You can find me on Instagram and Prophet Richard Rowe.
Okay.
You can find me on Facebook of Prophet Richard Rowe. You can Richard Rowe. You can find me on TikTok. I think of Prophet Richard Rowe. You can find me on YouTube Prophet Richard Rowe.
Okay.
You can find me there.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing time talking to you. Thank you. All right. I want you to pray for those who are watching us, and then we get to go.
Before I pray, the Lord told me that next year will be a year of uncertainty. So you have to spend time in prayer to make sure your life is certain and to make sure whatever the Lord spoke of your life, it is certain. So I declare and I decree and I pray for everyone that's watching.
Amen.
May the hands of the Lord come upon you. I pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Whatever you did not get to accomplish in 2023, you will get to accomplish it in 2024. I declare as the grace of God came upon Elisha and speed took him far, I pray that God will catapult into your destiny. I declare every sickness, let it be dry up now. I declare everything that's bound in you, let it be bound. I pray. And we crump and we paralyze every plot of the enemy. I declare where the enemy say no, may God rewrite your script. I pray for your life this day that where there's sadness in the book, let that page be written out. I release the grace upon your life to go through. I release the grace to break you through. I pray in the name of Jesus Christ. That great man will notice you. I declare, may God take you far. As you remain humble, may God lift you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Prophet.
Bless you, no problem.
All right, well, that's all for today on Impactlive. I trust you have been blessed. I trust that you have been impacted. And that was Prophet Richard Rowe there. And this is the book, Prophecy versus discernment, one book that you have, especially if you're a young prophet of God, you're a minister of the gospel, and you want to have something that will be a guide. You remember what he said? He said he wished he had this book when he was coming up. Okay, so you have to get this book, and trust me, you will be blessed. Trust me, you will be impacted like never before. Well, I trust you have been blessed. If you're watching us on television, head straight to our YouTube channel too. It is Impactlive with Felix Dazi, IMPACTLIVE, and then you add with Felix Dazi. Let's have an amazing time there. And this is how we wrap up. I want you, if you're watching us, I want you to know that this is the season 2 of Impactlive. Amazing conversations on there for you. You go there, rewind, press play, listen to them over and over until they stick in your spirit. You go there, you find this amazing interview with Prophet Richard Rowe. Listen to it over and over and over. I tell you, this is not a show, this is a learning curve. So make sure you learn something. I want to meet you in heaven. You say that I watched your program and wow, I watched Prophet Richard Rowe's show, I watched Dr. Joel's show, I watched the interview had with Apostle Abraham. I want to hear things like that. That is what will give me joy, definitely. I know that will happen. I'll see you same time tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have an amazing insight. If you're watching this, the next day is the repeat. The next day we have another insightful conversation. Till then, bye-bye.
February, March, April, May, June down to December. God, you've been so good. You've been so good. You've been so good. Count my blessings, name them one by one. You've been so good. I will not forget. I will not forget. I will not forget. You've been my lawyer, shelter, helper, provider, healer, helper, God. I will not forget. I will not forget. I will not forget. You are all I need. You are all I want. Mighty God. January, February, March, April, May, June down to December.